Welcome everybody to the 26.05 Aspen Inside Scoop. We have lots and lots and lots of good things this time. So yeah, thank you all for sponsoring such cool stuff. Thank you as always to all of the people that are contributing. I'm just scrolling through the release notes, all of the developers contributing. We've had a lot of developers and contribute. We've got a lot of testers and documenters already, and I know that list is going to grow. And as always, add your name in the in Jira, and you get testing credit automatically. Otherwise, sometimes I add you if we see, or Miranda adds you if we see that you're doing it. Documentation, all you have to do is do documentation. So that will grow as well. And then all of our sponsors. So thank you everybody sponsoring work this time. And yeah, let's look at what all we have. And I'm going to start with the things that we do have demos of. There's a few things that I'll talk about at the end that are hard to demo. But yeah, let's start. All right. So the first thing we have is oh, actually, sorry, before I start, I will also mention that this time there's not any like major changes to Aspen Leda, just a couple of things looking at catching a few different errors, but no major functionality change this time. Browse categories. So this is sponsored by Lynx, and it is DIS 2311. And the idea here is that especially on large screens, the number of titles shown, they just kind of got spaced out. We were always showing 5. And then conversely, when you had a little tiny screen like that, then they got really small because we were showing not enough. So we are now changing the number of titles that we're showing per size of screen. So as it gets smaller, you get fewer. Gets bigger, you get more. So between 3 and 7, and as you click between them, it's advancing a full page. Through their usability studies, they kind of found patrons were getting annoyed having to click one at a time, and it was much better to click through all of them so we can just advance a whole thing at a time. So nice functionality there, just good usability tweak. Next is CloudSource improvements. So this is DIS 2363, sponsored by Sirsi. And what we wanted to do is be able to link directly to the CloudSource platform rather than taking people straight to the resource. To do that, we are entering a new patron URL. So this is going to be specific to your instance of CloudSource OA. And what happens is when we do a search, so if we search for solar panels, or let's search for Aspen tree, search for Aspen tree. So revisiting the Aspen tree, that sounds amazing. When we click on this and click access online or any of the links, it will take us over to CloudSource, and we get that resource. And then we can click to get additional information about it. So we can find all about the different fields of study. We can get the different locations, how it's published, and we can view that article. And we want to do this just as resources come and go a little bit, as they're not found. It gives patrons additional options for how to get to it. So potentially it's available in another location. So there's the PDF, there's the HTML. Let's see if either of these work. Yeah, so there's the HTML, which we can then read more about and get more information, even though the PDF has gone away. So it helps patrons really understand it and get to the right things. Next, We have DIS 2188, which is sponsored by Metro. And the idea with this is to be able to customize which web resources are available in the Explore More bar. So the idea is a lot of times we'll have more web resources than we necessarily want to promote. So like maybe we're getting them from the state, we need them to be on our site, but we don't necessarily need them to show up in Explore More. So right now, if we're just doing a search of A to Z, we're getting A to Z India. In our Explore More, so I just did a search of A to Z, we get our series, we get our web pages. So this is linking to those resources. And we can now say, hey, I don't really want to see my A to Z maps online. So I can say, turn that off or turn it on. So I had that off. Let's go to another. Leave. A to Z Food in America is currently set to show in the Explore More. We can turn that off so that it will not. It will take it a minute to index. So rather than sitting here and very impatiently clicking refresh to watch that go from 3 to 2, we will see how quickly our indexer is running today. But that will drop from 3 to 2 as soon as it re-indexes. It might take 5 minutes tops, but longer than we're there. So we can click back to that, but that's what that's doing. So it won't show as a default image and it won't show in that list of web pages. All right, then Explore More sources. So this is DIS 2189, also sponsored by Metro. And this is allowing us to customize the Explore More bar. So the idea is that we can say, we're getting a lot of Explore More sources. Previously, these were a little bit in random order according to when things got added. So if you go to Local Catalog Enrichment now and Explore More, it's going to bring up a list. It's going to have a default group. The number of sources are going to be based off of what's active for you. So if you've got additional like EBSCO host, summon, that kind of thing available, you would see additional things. If you don't have events, you wouldn't see events. You can customize the order of these easily by saying, I actually like my lists better than my series, so I'm going to move my lists up. And my web stuff is actually better than my events, so I want to show those first. CloudSource can still go at the end. Let's save those changes. And this is just I did a search for graphic novel just because it's got a bunch of things. Originally, I had my series, I had my list, I had my event, and then we get all of our series and events if there's more than one, and then CloudSource. If we refresh now, since we changed that order, we're going to see our lists first, then our series, then our events, and then CloudSource. So I don't have currently results for Web Indexer, but you get the idea. Now, if we want to customize these more, so we can customize these per library. So say our Web Indexer isn't important for the Maple library, but we've got the module on. We can go through and we can say, okay, we can choose which libraries and which locations. So if you don't have any selected, which is the default, we're going to show it for all. But we can say Maple does not see Web Indexer there or there or there, and then they wouldn't see those. Or if we wanted to turn it off for Aspen, we could. You can also completely turn off a source by unchecking Show and Explore More. So we have complete control over Explore More and where those things go. So really cool functionality. Definitely been wanting this for a while. Just to be able to say, do I want my lists or my series to show first? So yeah, functionality. Thank you to Metro for doing that. Next, we have a bunch of indexing updates. So let's go here. So CW Mars and Hoopla sponsored a new facet. So we have a new facet here called Audiobook Duration, which can be added. So this will be need to be added manually if you want to use it. And the idea here, so I've just done a blank search. I'm going to say, let's limit to just audiobooks. And I want nonfiction audiobooks. Yes. As Jordan says, this is great for audiobooks for road trips. So I'm going on a road trip here. I want a nonfiction audiobook. My drive is going to be 6 hours, so I want something from 5.5 to 6.5 hours. I'm willing to let it go a little bit long. And here's all of the audiobooks that fit. The thing that we don't have that we will be adding for 26.06 is displaying the duration here too, to make it easier to see, like, okay, is this 5.5 hours? Is this 6.5 hours? Spoiler for later, I'm going to have a question about how do we want to handle things that have a variety of durations. And the durations do currently show if you have multiple editions. We're showing that information in the edition mark. I don't think I have. Yeah, so here, so like this one is 6 hours and 13 minutes, and that one's 1 hour and 55 minutes. So spoiler, we're going to talk about that later, is how would we want to show that when we have a range. But yeah, very cool. I will definitely be using that. Next, we have DIS 22.05, which came up at the catalogers group. And this is related to retaining the 100B field from the authors. So previously, this was just coming up as Leo, Pope, 1955. The Leo the 14th is important. So that is now retained in all of the places so that we can see that. So Leo the 14th shows up everywhere. Then DIS 2203, again from the catalogers group. This is you looking at the leader. Specifically, it's record type P, I believe. And, oh, actually, sorry, the 22.95 was actually sponsored by MCFLS too. Did come up at the catalogers group, but sponsored by MCFLS. And we're very excited about that. The mixed material determination. So this is looking for that record type of P. Oh, we're going to narrow by format. There's more than I realized there. So there's our mixed materials. So the Jones-Southgate Underground Railroad files. Looking at this record. Then we can see the record type of P is making this a mixed materials, and if we do the diagnostics, that will tell us as well that it's coming up as mixed material. Next is DIS 2202, also from the catalogers group, which was adding a search of the 010 and the 028 in the general keyword index. So these are things that mostly our catalogers are going to use. Guessing we're not going to get a whole lot of patrons searching by these. So here, if we do a keyword search, we're going to find the Underland Chronicles. And if we look down here, we're going to see the 010 there. We might have some patrons that are doubling as secret catalogers doing these searches. Yes. And for the 028, so there we've got, this one happens to be a sideload, so this will work for sideloads as well. Anything that has MARC format. And here we get the 028. So we can search for all those fun things. So all of our catalogers, and especially advanced patrons will enjoy those. So again, sponsored by the, or discussed at the catalogers group. Next, we have DIS 2014, which was sponsored by SWAN. And this is making author searches case insensitive, and anything that's missing is going to sort to the end. So if we do a search for De La Pena, or actually, sorry, this is sorts. So we're just gonna, we'll do a general sort or a general search for that name. There he is. And then we're going to sort by author. So previously the D was coming either at the very beginning or the very end, after, before or after all of the capital letters. Now it comes, as you would predict, down here in the middle after DA and before DU. And then if we go to the last page of results, we will see the ones that just have a publisher but not an author. So very nice there. Just make the catalog work the way that patrons think it should, and librarians think it should. Next, I'm excited about this one. So materials requests. So this is DIS 2253, which was sponsored by Metro again. As we have more and more and more requests come in, it's important to start being able to say, like, what is everybody doing, not just one specific request at a time. So I can set up some sorts and that kind of thing to sort things by title. But it can be useful to act on all of them at the same time. So here we have, in addition to the manage requests, we have a manage requests by title. So the idea here is that we can now sort things by title or author. So there, oh, I don't have a lot of authors. Let's sort these by title. So there we get a forest first, apple, trees, and cider. We can also sort by number of requests. So here we're going to say, okay, the Little Book of Bob is very popular. I've got 6 requests on that. I can click Manage Requests, and I can easily see, okay, I have a bunch of requests. 2 of them were canceled by the patron. We've got 3 that have the hold placed, 1 that the request was referred to ILL. And we can see who they were assigned to. We are able to update all of these at once. So I can say, assign all of these to myself. And I can say that they've all been ordered. So if I wanted to, I could say, hey, we already own it, or we have purchased the item. And then we can deal with all of those at once instead of one at a time. We can see ones that were placed in the past, just so that you can tell, like, okay, I got a new request. Can I reorder that? Or should I reorder it? Have I already bought it? That kind of thing. So a nice way really of being able to manage like all of these that we see. Yeah, this is like first draft of all of this. So we're really excited to like get some feedback on this and dive into it more. But just a really nice way for people to be able to manage multiple things, see the history, see kind of the, like, dive into the details of the material requests. So neat functionality there. Next, saved search email updates. Again, this one is DIS 2356, and it's sponsored by MCFLS. I'm going to go back. We're going to leave this page. Okay, so when you install, you're going to get a default saved search alert. This allows you to, so you can either customize this one, you can create a new one. It's going to tell you all of the information that you have. So you can embed all of this. So if we are working on a consortial site, instead of creating one per consortia, we can say, so instead of the library, we can say, we embed these in %. So we say, % library display name has added new materials to its collection that may be of interest. And you can view and request them. Same thing here, you can do the plain text as well. So we've added the ability to do HTML in addition to plain text. So you'll get either one. These lists of updated searches, they have a regular one and an HTML one. So the idea is, if it's text only, we're going to display just the link. If it's HTML, we're going to give them a link. So otherwise, you get the full URL. Yeah, so here it's like parentheses with the URL in it, whereas here it's actually getting it to you. You can view the source code as well, which will show you that, like, okay, this does have a link using the search history URL. Those get replaced dynamically at the end. We can do things like, say, hello. So there would say, hello, Mark. And then the Aspen Library has added new materials to its collection. You can control these based off of, so you can change these per library. So each library can have their own if you want. You could embed graphics, that kind of thing. So really cool functionality there. I'll save that so that tomorrow I'll get an updated one that'll be personalized to me. This is what it will look like. So here is the HTML version, obviously without the changes we just made, but we get a little bit more descriptive information. So all of these links are live. So if we click into our saved searches, then we get to go to our saved searches. So there's my updated kids fiction. And within that, we're also showing some sample titles. So here, if I'm like, yep, I really want pay attention to me, then I can click into that and get information right away from it. Yeah, so should be really neat, as people say, yeah, images are gonna go in there. Should be neat, really easy to do some nice customizations. So looking forward to seeing what everybody comes up with that. So have a show and tell at Aspen Con with all of the neat things you're doing with saved search emails. All right, moving on. So thank you again to MCFLS for sponsoring that one. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy that. Next is DIS 2018, which is sponsored by CLEVNET. And this is allowing self-check completion messages. So these are the messages that show up in LIDA after you check something out. These can be customized now based off which location owns the material as well as where it is checked out. So if something has gone on transit from the Aspen library to the Maple library, maybe we need to get the case unlocked somehow specially. Maybe it's a kit and we're just checking out a piece of paper and we get a message that says come to the circulation desk to actually pick up the material. So you can now customize it by format, owning location, or checkout location. To do that, it will just be a list. So we'd say DVDs checked out at Aspen Library. So here we're going to have, this is going to be our DVD, and the checkout location is Aspen. So that's going to be the location code where it is. Right now, this is working for Symphony, which is where we can detect the owning location and checkout locations. Can be done other places. You can actually confirm things. You can change things based off user language. So if somebody is a Spanish speaker and checks this out, they can get their own message. Do really not exciting messages. Now, if multiple apply, it would display all of them. So if this was owned by Aspen, checked out at Aspen, it would potentially show 3 of these messages. So you have the option to do a lot there. All right. Also with that and self-check, there is so SWAN and CLEVNET as part of DIS 2120 with Symphony updated a lot of the messaging, or sorry, not the messaging. We went through and tested, I think, every single possible case of exception that we could get, checking something out from Symphony, verified that they are all working now properly. So we added a couple of cases. So if if patron has checked out one copy of Pride and Prejudice and tries to check out another copy, they won't be allowed. If a patron tries to check out something that they find on the shelf that is on hold for somebody else, they will be able to check it out. So I think we have found every single possible combination of those. So thank you to SWAN and CLEVNET for doing that. We've had some nice long meetings as we explore every single possibility, but that's looking really good. So next, Sierra self-registration updates. So with Sierra, we've got MCFLS has sponsored a lot of this functionality for self-registration. And we've got a couple new updates for this. This is DIS 2331 and DIS 2332. And the first part of that is just when we submit, it wasn't respecting if you had the all caps setting within library settings set to true. So there is a checkbox in library systems. Let's go there. So here, if we just look at this one, we just search for the caps. So there's use all caps when updating the profile and all caps when submitting self-registration. If this was checked, it wasn't honoring it, and now it does. The other thing we can do, which is cool, so based off the patron's municipality in Sierra, so this is saying, so we're doing, for people that haven't seen this before, it can do a basically a geolocation lookup based off the address that the patron puts in to determine what city it's part of. So it can look at city, it can look at county, it can look at state. In this case, they're all looking at cities. And then you can set p-types, you can set different locations. You can completely bar people. So if you want to make sure that anybody in Wisconsin can register, even if they're outside one of the cities, you can allow that, but not allow anybody outside of outside Wisconsin to do that. But the new feature is, so we've had the ability to set the expiration length, and you can choose here. So we can say 12 days, 12 months, 12 years. And we added the ability to extend the expiration to the month end. And so what that's doing is saying, if I register today and I've got a 1-year expiration, my actual expiration date is not May 7th, 2027, it's May 31st, 2027. So it will give you to the end of that month, so that you're not expiring people basically on the day that they registered. So nice functionality there to help comply with library policies. So thank you to MCFLS for sponsoring that. All right. Next is some series updates. So here in our series updates, so we have the ability to administer our series. We last time added the ability to sort by number of titles, ascending or descending. So we can see that this one has 1,772 books. And for dummies, they're up to almost 1,000 books. In addition to sorting, we wanted the ability to be able to say, okay, let's sort by the series title, and let's add a filter that says we're going to sort by the number of titles. We can do a variety of things. So we can say equals a specific thing, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, or between two values. So we can say, let's see anything that is between 50 and 100 titles on that list. And so we can see, oh, not sure why we got 337. We will look at that. So let's say greater than 50, which looks like that's what this is doing. So we'll work on making sure that that caps. But here's everything that is over 50. So a lot of these, the way this is going to get used is, do we want this series to appear? Do we not want it to appear? How useful is it for people to show those? So maybe we don't want the brilliant, I'm assuming that's brilliant audio, and maybe we don't want theirs. Maybe we don't want the classroom in a book or something. So you can play with that and yeah, so various various subjects that might not be all that interesting to people. So yeah, nice functionality there. That also does make the underlying work there makes those filters more powerful. So if there's something where you're like, I really wish we could filter based off of X, we've got a better chance of being able to do it now. All right. Last thing I'm going to show is some user agent updates. So I think we've all seen the usage dashboard, and we get our number of page views. This is obviously a demo system, so we still have 15,000 page views and only 5,429 by bots. Part of this has been the way we're doing bot detection has been, we've erred on the side of thinking that somebody is a person rather than a bot. And the way we're doing a lot of that detection is based off user agent. If we look at the user agents, so previously, if you've looked at this, there are hundreds of thousands of user agents. We are trying to cut down the number of user agents in order to give us better information. The primary use case of this is determining if something is a bot or not. We are looking at now things that specifically say bot, things that specifically say crawler, that kind of thing. We are also including anything that has a user agent of Aspen Discovery. So these are places where Aspen is talking back to itself in a good way, not a bad way. But basically saying like, hey, go update reading history for this user, or it's status checks that are saying like, hey, is the server alive? We don't necessarily need to, we wouldn't want to record those page views as real people. So what we should see is those numbers start to go down, the number of user agents be much more manageable. So we can see the user agents. We can also see in our system reports our usage by user agent. And this should start to make a lot more sense. So yeah, we've got 70,000 requests from Aspen Discovery 2504. That's a lot. And we don't want that to inflate our overall stats. So we should see the numbers in that usage dashboard start making more sense for real people, which would be good. Yeah, so those are the big things that, oh, and sorry, that was DIS 2334 sponsored by Orange County. Got a few things to talk about that I'm going to go back to release notes just to have something up here while I'm talking. A few things that are worth talking about that aren't necessarily easy to demo. So 2113, which was sponsored by Metro. So this is for those of you using local administrators with two-factor authentication and doing Masquerade. With that setup, when you ended the Masquerade session, your user also got kicked out and you had to log in again and go through two-factor authentication again. Now you just stay logged in, which is nice. 263, DIS 263 was sponsored by Orange County. And this is OverDrive titles that are on order. The status was showing incorrectly in some locations. And it was showing that it was checked out rather than on order. So that all displays properly now. DIS 1430 was co-sponsored by Nashville and Grove. And some work was done on it by OpenFifth as well. We have a new plugin system. plugins are going to be very powerful and allow us to do lots of things for very specific use cases that are very specific to individual libraries. So like Nashville has a whole bunch of code that is doing reporting functionality, and that doesn't necessarily need to be in the main code base. So we now have the ability to kind of pull that out of it and leave that to be a Nashville specific plugin. There's a few other use cases. Prairie Lakes has some things that they'll be working on that will likely be plugins. So things that are harder to share just because they require local configuration of an ILS or some additional platform that is not easy to get. So it's something we'll keep an eye on. Right now, the preference is we would much rather put things in the official Aspen release so everybody gets it right away rather than making it a plugin, but we now have options, which is cool. Next, DIS 252 was sponsored by GMILCS, and this is for Polaris libraries. There is a pickup area that we started on, I think, a year ago. We actually were, I think we got it in before Vega did, and as part of being such early adopters, there was some information missing out of the API, which is now included. So we can now actually look up the pickup area by ID rather than sort of by name, which allows us to display better information within the holds list, which is really cool. Next is DIS 2356, which was sponsored by SWAN. And that's, actually, I will show this one. So within Search Interpreter, we are able to, your special terms, you're able to change the order of them now. So these do get processed from top to bottom. So if you have, and then the word actually gets removed out of it. So if I had another one that was teen Blu-ray, let's do more romance Blu-ray, just so that I can copy and paste. So we're going to say subject is romance fiction, and we're going to add all of the different formats for Blu-rays. These get processed in order, so if I save these, because romance and Blu-ray are getting pulled out sooner, it would never actually trigger this last one. So we could now move that to the top and have that one be processed first. So as we're doing more and more with Search Interpreter, that's just really good for being able to configure it. Yeah, I think that is everything. So thanks again for everybody who has sponsored development this round. We've got a lot of neat stuff coming.